Before we get to our story from the Lord's Word this morning, I was wondering if I could have a few of the children smell some things. Would you like to smell a couple of things? We can have a few of you come up if you'd like. I want to ask, does this smell good or bad? Oh, you gonna try? Ooh, that's kind of what. Oh, you want to try again?
That smells like sardines.
You have a keen nose. That is exactly what that smell is sardines. Would you guys like to try one more smell? This one's not a bad one. I promise this one's not bad. What does that remind you of?
Vanilla extract.
It is vanilla extract, and this goes into things like cookies, right? You guys want to smell that? And vanilla ice cream. See, that one smells pretty good, right? You want to smell, Ben? So, would you say that the first smell smelled good or bad? The first one smelled bad. And what about the second one? It smelled really good, right? So, how do you know that? Our nose tells us, right? You smell something and it's, oh, that's gross. That's right. So the sensors go in from your nose into your brain, and then your brain says, that's bad. So, you want to hear something really amazing? In the next world, after we leave this life and we go into the spiritual world, when we smell something bad, we'll know it's evil. When evil's around us, you would smell it and go, oh, that's terrible. But if something smells really good, you would go, oh, this is really good. So that's what things are like in heaven. You'll know immediately whether something is good or bad by the way it smells. Isn't that a really cool thing? All right, how about you guys have a seat, and we're going to read a story that includes something about a nose. And it's also a story about a couple who is getting married. So in this story, I have to give a little bit of background. Abraham, do you guys remember Abraham, who then had Isaac as a son, and then Isaac had Jacob? Well, Abraham was getting really old, and he was worried that his son wasn't going to find a wife from the right places, so he sent his servant. He made his servant promise him to go up to a place called Padan Aram, which is where his family had been from, and to find his son Isaac a wife. So his servant felt this was such an important thing for him to do. He was worried that maybe he's not going to find somebody for Isaac. So he's really worried about it, but he goes anyways, and he has a plan, and that's where we're going to start. Is the servant is there, and he's worried, but then he says this. It says, then he said, O Lord God, my master Abraham, please give me success this day, and show kindness to my master Abraham. Behold, here I stand by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, please let down your pitcher that I may drink, and she says, drink, and I will also give your camels a drink. Let her be the one that you have appointed for your servant Isaac. And by this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. And it happened, before he had finished speaking, that behold, Rebekah, who was born of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her pitcher on her shoulder. Now the young woman was very beautiful to behold, a virgin, no man had known her. And she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. And the servant ran and said, please let me drink a little water from your pitcher. So she said, drink, my lord. Then she quickly let down the pitcher to her hand and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also, until they have finished drinking. Then she quickly emptied her pitcher into the trough and ran back to the well to draw water and drew for all of his camels. And the man, wondering at her, remained silent so as to know whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. So it was, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a gold nose ring weighing 1/2 shekel and 2 bracelets for her wrists, weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, "Whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, is there room in your father's house for us to lodge?" So she said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor." Moreover, she said to him, "We have both straw and feed enough, and room for you to lodge." So here's our story. As the servant went up and he was worried about not being able to find this wife for Isaac. And so what did he do when he was worried about it? We've been talking a lot about this, and it has to do with when we do it with our hands like that. What is that called? Yeah, so he prayed to the Lord for a sign that she would be found. And it was very specific. He said, well, let it be the woman who comes and puts down her pitcher and I ask her for a drink, and if she gives me a drink, and then she says, I'll also draw water for your camels. So it's a pretty specific prayer, but nonetheless, he prayed to the Lord. And this is something I really want to think about in this lesson this morning, is maybe you're not so interested in getting married right now. You're very young, right? But someday, I bet you all will want to hopefully be married. And this is something that we should think about, even at your young age, to ask the Lord to lead us to find somebody that's perfect for us. Nobody's going to be perfect, but that we can work together, and also asking the Lord to lead us in our own lives to be a good future husband or wife to somebody else. So this is a really important lesson in this, is to think about praying to the Lord to be a good husband or wife and to find that partner. And that's something we can start really early on. But what did we hear about a nose in this story? You guys remember? What was about a nose in this story? They tell what you smell. That's very true. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in this story, do you remember where the nose comes into play? That's exactly right. You are really, really keen. So she was given by the servant a nose ring, also called a nose jewel, so it would go right on the nose. And remember what we were saying about our noses? It helps us know what is good and what is bad. And then she also got 2 bracelets. And we're not going to get too deep into this right now, but think about, we want to, when we love somebody else, we can think of it so good. It might seem really good, but then we also have the bracelets in this story. And the bracelets have to do with truth. They have to do with following what the Lord tells us. So if we're not following the commandments, how are we going to know if something's really good? So especially when we think about trying to find somebody, a partner for ourselves, for our lives, it's not just about what smells good or what seems good, but we also need to be making sure we follow the Lord's commandments. And when we do that, that's how we find wonderful partners, and that's how we work with our partners to be really good people and eventually become one angel in heaven. You have any final thoughts before we close up? Yeah? That's exactly right. So the bracelets has to do with our hands, so doing what the Lord asks. Very good. All right.